Hello, I am Linda Finley. I am the lead faculty for Business Architectures Institute's classes and courses in the business architecture space. This is who I am. We're not going to take time to read this right now, but when you come to my classes or participate in a live online class with the Institute, we will get to know each other very well. I have been doing business architecture, though, for much of my career, even before it was called business architecture, which I think once we talk, you will find that many of you are also doing, because it's so foundational and fundamental to a lot of the things we need to get done in organizations. A key point to bring out here, and I know Greg will speak to this as well, but the Business Architecture Institute is focused specifically and sort of assertively on teaching practitioners how to be practitioners, and we are also, the instructors are practitioners ourselves. So we don't do a lot of academic kind of conversation around how things should work. What we do is really talk about how things do work and how you will be successful in this role. And that is a key reason that I like to teach this with this institute, with this organization, and also why I like to get into conversation directly with you. I am a consultant, and also, so by that definition, I am out there making this stuff work every day, and it's important to me that you learn to do that as well. Okay, so what is business architecture? What business architecture does, as all types of architecture or all disciplines within architecture, is brings context to organizations, brings context to thinking about organizations and leading organizations. So when we talk about architecture in general, we talk about bringing context. Business architecture specifically takes a business view first and understands the organization's interests, its purpose, and creates the ability to enable and enhance that purpose and actually deliver the intended results or the intended purpose of the organization. We do spend a fair amount of time talking about that. As you can see on this slide, there's a picture of the overall organization, a dynamic blueprint, basically, because it is showing that business architecture encompasses all aspects of organizations, internal, external, partners, anything that creates capability is part of what shows up on the business architecture blueprints. We use business architecture to identify what we have current state, to understand how well we do it, understand how well we are performing, and then visualizing what the possibilities could be for us in our organization, and then optimizing to get there. So optimizing the organization from an operating model, from a business model, from a capability and competency perspective. The value proposition for business architecture inside the organization, this is not something we're going to read, but when you come to class, we'll talk about this more specifically. But really, business architecture, this slide shows that business architecture can engage in all kinds of different places in the organization. It doesn't have to be at one point and then highly linear or sequential, or you have to have a lot of rules in place for it to happen. The things that we learn in business architecture and the things we learn to apply create fundamental facility. We are able to do all kinds of stuff within the organization. We can participate in strategy definition, strategy execution. We do a lot of work on analyzing what we have currently and what we have in the future as far as opportunities go and how well we're positioned to deliver on opportunities. We engage in the application lifecycle, governance of that, so we understand how well we're situated to do certain things, as I've said before, but then also what it will take to get to deliver something that the organization wants to deliver, and also the order of things. Sometimes we don't know that something needs to be fixed in order that we can start something else, and business architecture tools and techniques allow us to understand that. We learn a lot more about key performance indicators and success factors, and we manage to those. And then it goes full circle all the way back to strategy, and then how we are understanding what the organization needs to do to improve. Common pain points in organizations that call out loud and clear for business architecture. If you ever wonder if what you're working on makes sense for this organization, if you ever wonder why you're working on something, the prioritization of things, if you sometimes look around and go, do we even all understand the mission here together? Are we on the same page? If you ever wish that investments made sense to where you see things broken in the organization, those are all the kind of things that we see that call out for business architecture to be alive and coming to help in organizations. Let me talk a little bit about what the skills and what we teach here in the Institute around business architecture. We focus on creating the definition and value statement for you to take back into your organization to help everyone understand and actually see more than even talk about, but actually act on the value statement, the deliverables that really help. We talk through customer profiles, how to create customer profiles, how to create value propositions, and deal with business architecture concepts. Because even though we are talking about practitioner tips, practitioner techniques, practitioner success aspects, things that we need to be successful as practitioners, we also really cover all the concepts that are important as well, the reasons that business architecture exists, what it can do in concept, and kind of the academics, and we source back to key resources and writings and white papers and the artifacts that are driving how business architecture is evolving in the industry. We focus on business modeling, operating models, strategy to execution. A lot of organizations struggle a lot. We have the leaders that state strategy, and then the organization doesn't really know how to act on that strategy. We pull that thread and make sure that we can execute strategy. We have a lot of emphasis on capabilities, business capabilities. That's a core concept in business architecture, and we look at things through the business capability lens, and we understand how to not only identify those, as I have covered earlier, but then also how well we're performing those, what our core competencies are as organizations, and where we need to improve or change things in order to deliver what we need to deliver. We talk about governance. We talk about performance, actually performing business architecture, what it takes to be a business architect, what are those skills, and scenario-based learning on if you find yourself in this situation, what would you be doing as a business architect to help most in the organization. And then we also cover alignment with IT, with product, with other aspects of the organization that are also working hand in hand or in parallel with the business architecture function, and how we support those functions and capabilities as well. Business architects, today's business architect, I should say, as we've continued to evolve this practice and this discipline, we are creating new insight and perspective. We are clarifying and illuminating strategic intent, taking that strategic agenda or the goals or the objectives stated by the leadership and by the visionaries in the company, and making sure that the organization actually is in a position to deliver that strategy. We align business strategy and action to that same point. We clarify high-level business operations. You'll be surprised, or maybe you won't, to know that a lot of organizations don't even know what they have completely. And we also identify synergistic opportunities and dependencies. Sometimes organizations are doing something really, really well, and they don't even have full understanding of how well they're performing that thing, and it could be a real opportunity in the marketplace for them. All kinds of business illumination is really what I like to refer to as helping leaders and helping everyone in the organization understand what they do well, what they don't do well, what they need to do, and then what they want to do in the future. The business case for business architecture in organizations, in addition to everything we've talked about so far, really kind of is encapsulated in this slide, where we're talking about business vision and strategy is articulated via the business architecture. So it is artifacts it's kind of a living, breathing thing, though, because we're talking about applying it at a project level. We're talking about applying it at a strategy level, at a strategy definition, and even in conversation, changing how we're thinking about what we're capable of doing and how we're seeking to understand that. And then by doing these things, we enable actionable deployment plans. And you can see the bullets below that describe the kinds of things we get involved with to support change, to support transformation, to support proper investing in viable future endeavors, and so on and so on. It really just gives us an opportunity to create a healthy environment from which to launch all kinds of things for organizations.